Hey, my name's Alex McWhorter, and this is my flight plan functionality presentation on why you should use a flight plan instead of going direct enter to most of your locations that you're flying to. And we'll go ahead and start off with some weather and terrain. So I'm sure you have all gotten the classic written question. If you're flying towards a low pressure system from the east, would you rather fly to the north, to the south? And the answer, low pressure systems counterclockwise, you want the tailwind, so you fly to the north. And if it's a difference of 50 knots, if you're at 10,000 feet and you can choose between a 50 knot headwind and a 50 knot tailwind, you take the tailwind. Saves you time, saves you money, saves you fuel. That's what you should choose every time. There's also winds. There's also mountains. So I've been flying through the mountains before, and there's no way you can just fly direct. I'm used to flying in Florida, where you can fly direct wherever you really want. But with mountainous terrain, that's not the case, and you want to load into your flight plan Victor Airways to get yourself through mountainous terrain. And the reason you want to have it in your flight plan is just less for you to do. It allows you to just focus on flying the plane a lot more, and you want to do everything you can on the ground. You don't want to just keep entering. I hope I'm not misunderstanding the prompt, but you want to load everything into a flight plan. You want to have everything there. Doing everything you can on the ground is crucial to maintaining situational awareness and staying ahead of your aircraft, especially if you're flying in mountainous terrains and if you're IFR and if you're in a 172 and it's carbureted, it's not fuel injected, it's just struggling to just hang on at that altitude. It's going to be a bumpy, rough ride, and you don't want to be have to messing around with the flight plan while you're sitting there looking for the Victor airway. You want to just be focused on flying the plane. There's as well as flying restricted or prohibited areas. If you get a weather briefing, it'll tell you about what restricted or prohibited areas there are, and depending on the altitudes they top out at, you might need to go around them. And if you're flying IFR and they're active, they're just going to give you a fix to fly to. So if you can kind of just make a flight plan around it, it'll just make things easy for you. Less to do, or known ATC delays. So this doesn't come up much, but if you got to fly, for example, if you were flying from Orlando up north, or flying from Orlando and you had to fly to I don't know, Nashville, Tennessee, and you had to go over in Atlanta, the Bravo and the Atlanta, because they won't let anybody fly over it. They won't clear you over it. And you got to go around. You can go ahead and make a flight plan around it for the winds that favor you most. That's happened to me before, and it's kind of a pain. Convective activity. So if you know there's a low pressure system along your route of flight, and you've got convective outlooks or active convective segments, you can go ahead and make your flight plan to avoid the bad weather. As well as flying over water. Like I've personally flying in Florida, they want to clear me direct somewhere, but I've got a flight plan that keeps me closer to the coast because they're usually not aware, and they'll clear me direct and on a route that'll take me 10 miles away from the coast, and I'm in a single engine plane at 6,000 feet. I won't be able to glide there. So you can just go ahead and make your flight plan for it and just fly the flight plan. There's a couple other things we're going to talk about as well with the flight plan, more about how it's just IFR flying made simple. So published and unpublished holds, it's kind of what no pilot wants to hear on an IFR flight plan is, hold 10 miles northeast of this initial approach fix and expect further clearance, make right turns. Nobody wants to hear that because it's a pain. But when you hear it, you can, and especially with the G1000, you can just load the flight plan right into the GPS, or load the hold right into your GPS, and you can just hold there, and it makes it incredibly simple. Arrivals, so some airports will make you get an arrival, like I know in Texas they got airports like the Dallas Fort Worth area. I think they're going to make you fly an arrival, and you just want to have it loaded in because you don't want to be getting close to the airport where you got to get the weather, where you got to decide which approach you want to use, everything like that, and then also having to load your arrival in and figure out what arrival they're asking you to fly. It's just not something you want to do. So you just want to have it loaded in so you can just have less to do, more of your attention on flying. Same with departures. If you're like taking off, it's 400-foot ceilings. I've been in a situation like that where I know there's a lot of towers around. I want to fly a departure procedure so that I know I'm going to be clear of obstacles and things like that. And then VNAV for a non-precision approach or top of descent. This is insane. I love the VNAV feature for a non-precision approach. I wish I had it during my instrument training. And basically, if you can kind of guess that your ground speed is going to be, let's say, 90 knots, then you can use that little tool, like 90 times 5 is 450. So, you need about a 450 descent rate. You can go ahead and program that in for your G1000, and it just makes flying that approach incredibly easy. Um, top of descent too. I've said this before, but if you're flying, at 15,000 feet, ground speed's 170 knots, when should you descend? You don't have to descend rapidly because that's not pleasant for your passengers to descend at 1,500 feet a minute. Their ears are popping. It can make them sick. So you want a nice steady descent down, and it helps you get there just smoother and faster, as well as good resource management. Why you wouldn't use the flight plan is beyond me. Use every resource you have available to you. That's what we as pilots should do. It helps mitigate risk, and mitigating risk is the foundation to aviation safety. So whenever you can mitigate risk, you should. So there are just so many benefits. So you can get so much more situational awareness, and there's so many advantages and reasons for doing so. And I hope I covered a good number of them here, and I hope y'all have a good rest of your week.